Accra. The city is alive on 97.3.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Selom Adunu. Tonight I'm here with
Akosia Oche.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes.
There is discrimination or worse, then that will send a signal to not just LGBT investors and exporters, but the other American companies that Ghana is less welcoming than I'm telling people that it is now.
United States says Ghana likely to suffer trade and investment consequences with the U.S. if the anti-LGBT bill is passed. Also on Eyewitness News, minority raises concerns with President Akufo-Addo's agreement with ECOWAS leaders to commit Ghanaian troops to a possible military operation in Niger. They say he should have consulted Parliament. We will examine the arguments on the show tonight. Still on Eyewitness News, as the NDC running mate gets keener, we ask, what must Mahama be looking out for? We have some analysis on that for you tonight. Still with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News and in Business.
Locked Up Investment Holders Forum calls for faster action to address liquidity issues faced by financial institutions.
There is more in business in the next 15 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citynewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome via our WhatsApp line 0549 986 996. You can follow me on Twitter at Selom Adunu. The hashtag, as always, is City Newsroom. Of course, the bulletin is also live across the country on our affiliates. In the Western region, we are on Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi, Beach 105.5 FM also in Takoradi, and Sky Power 93.5 FM in Takoradi. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani, Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi in the Ashanti region, Right 90.1 FM in Somanya in the Eastern region, and Holy 98.5 FM Aflao in the Volta region. In the Northern region, we are on Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi and Wed 88.3 FM in Zuarungu in the Upper East region, and on Bugli Radio 88.6 in Wa in the Upper West region. We take our first story where the U.S. has some news for Ghana.
The U.S. ambassador to Ghana says the passage of the anti-LGBTQ bill may affect trade and investment in the country. Ambassador Virginia Palmer says though a number of American companies are preparing to invest in Ghana, any law that discriminates against LGBTQ may hurt the country. Speaking to journalists in Accra, Ambassador Virginia Palmer says Ghana should tread cautiously.
A lot of inter-ethnic harmony, and that makes Ghana strong and stable and attractive for investment. I hope it stays that way with regard to the LGBT community. And again, there's money to be made. You know, the color of your money is green or red if it's Ghanaian. But if there is discrimination or worse, then that will send a signal to not just LGBT investors and exporters, but the other American companies that Ghana is less welcoming than I'm telling people that it is now. So I hope it will stay welcoming.
Virginia Palmer is U.S. ambassador to Ghana.
Let's get to the phone lines and speak to the Honorable Sam George, MP for Ningo Pram, who is one of the proponents of the anti-LGBT bill, and to see what he has to say about this. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Truth spoken, the U.S. says that Ghana may become, less welcoming if the anti-LGBT bill is passed into law, and that may have trade and investment consequences with the United States. What do you say to that?
Hi, good evening, and good evening to your listeners. We've had the U.S. ambassador, but the points she's made are her opinion. Those opinions don't represent the facts and they don't represent the truth. So we can only tell and reassure her that ultimately Ghana remains a safe destination, a very safe destination for businesses that are interested in business, because the bottom line for businesses is profit. It's not about LGBTQ or the cultural values of the host country. And so, except the American ambassador is trying to say that all American investors into Ghana are LGBTQ persons. In that case, we're not interested in their investment. But let's always be clear about one thing. Investors come into a country, they come into the country to make profit, meaning they come into Ghana here to make profit. You can't be coming into our country to make profit. There's no U.S. investor in Ghana who is here as a charity. They're all here to make profit. So if you're here to make profit, you must abide by our laws. Simple and short.
I see. So the U.S. investors will choose to invest their money where they wish. And if they find our country discriminatory in terms of how we deal with people, LGBT people, now we are preparing to pass a bill or a law that will proscribe their activities in very explicit terms. What this means is that it cuts off members of those community or that community who may be willing to invest in Ghana. And your repost or your response is that we do not want LGBT investment from LGBT people in Ghana?
Well, the U.S. government does not accept investment from people who hold extreme religious views today. So it means that even the U.S. government does not accept all kinds of investment. In Ghana today, we don't accept investment from persons who hold extreme religious opinions. So it is not to say that there is a carte blanche for all kinds of investment. Investment must sit with the laws of a country. I know Ghanaians who invest in the U.S. I know Ghanaians who sell their produce, shea butter, cocoa products in the U.S. I know a few of them who are polygamous. I've not heard the Ghanaian ambassador to the U.S. demanding that America changes its laws on polygamy because Ghanaian businesses are doing investments in America. You see, there is no difference between the script hasn't changed for 400 years. The same way the forebears of the current ambassador came on the shores of Ghana in enslaved merchant ships and came with bottles of gin and mirrors and got us to sell our own to them for a few bottles of gin. It's the same thing they're doing. How can American businesses who are coming here to make profits and repatriate to their country have the effrontery and the audacity to tell us to change our culture and our cultural values and beliefs for them to come and make a profit in our country? I mean, Philip, does it even sound right to you? If it is not that we as a country have cheapened ourselves and have failed to have a value system, do you think that Americans would dare that with our Nigerian brothers? Nigeria passed a same-sex marriage, a bill banning same-sex marriage as far back as 2015, 8 years ago. Did you hear that Americans dare threaten Nigeria because they knew Nigeria will respond in like manner? It's high time Ghanaians begin to realize that the way we sell ourselves is the way we're going to be bought, and that this is a sovereign nation. In fact, anybody who goes into business or partnerships, the first step test of any potential business partner is a sense of integrity and his value system. So if you claim, and we claim as Ghanaian people, that our culture frowns on this, but because of a few $1,000 or $1 million worth of investment, that is not even proven, will not come because we pass a law, we change our value system. Ghana would be seen as a country that doesn't have integrity. And any true businessman will not stick his neck to work here with us. People came to this U.S. Ghana Business Summit fully aware that Ghana is about to pass this law. They came because they know Ghana is a safe, profitable investment destination. That's why they will come here. So let's not buy into the rhetoric and let's stop regurgitating that rhetoric. That if we pass the bill, something would happen to us. As Americans not working in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, they catch you for homosexuality. After they kill you, they hang your body from a train in a town square. But Americans still are able to go and work there and invest there. But
the economic muscle of the two countries are not the same. You talked about even Nigeria. I mean, we stand on different levels as far as the economic programs are concerned.
Every
Ghana goes
country
to
has its
countries
unique
like the
selling
US
point.
to beg for arms, to beg for resources. And so once you go to them to beg, they're able to tell you what they want. Is that not the case?
No, but who told you that Nigeria doesn't also go for loans from the US and Nigeria doesn't also go to beg for arms? It's about how you package yourself. It's about the self-awareness. You understand me? And that's the point I'm making. That if we are self-aware, we will not go into a position, into negotiations with them in a position of servitude and begging. We'll go to partnerships. If our president and our leaders will walk the talk, where they said we don't want aid, we want partnership, then we will begin to talk to them as partners. Right now, the attitude of the West is one of condescension because of the attitude our leaders go into those negotiations and those conversations with. Every country has its own strengths and selling points. It's not every country's selling point as the size of the economy. Ghana has safety. They are the most buoyant democracy in sub-Saharan Africa. Ask yourself why the agencies like the World Bank choose to build their regional head offices here, and why you have many UN head offices here in Ghana. Why many American businesses operating out of Ghana and working in the sub-region but headquartering themselves in Ghana. We have peace, we have democracy, we have stability. Every country has its selling point. That's what you play up. You don't chip in yourself. When you chip in yourself, you'll be sold, you'll be bought that way. And that's where we must come to. Come to the table with our strength and say, this is what we bring to the table. You either respect us or we walk away. Nkrumah gave us the roadmap to this. He said, we look neither to the east or the west. We look forward. We must have a national identity and a national goal. He said, this is what we want. If the West is willing to play ball with us, they're welcome to the table. If the East is willing to play ball with us, they're welcome to the table. If they are not, we should show that we should cut our clothes according to our size, cut down the profligate expenditure, and cut out the corruption and waste in our system, and we are good to go.
I see. Thanks so much, Honorable Sam George. Thanks so much for speaking to us, and kudos to your efforts in this regard. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. A few of your messages on this matter that have come up. John Na Tete and Kufuria says, is one's lifestyle a factor that affects the success or otherwise of trade investment? This is culture, imposition, and slave trade to the highest degree. The ambassador should come again, you say. Asafuache Abolo inside Pong says, kindly tell the U.S. ambassador we do not need their investment. Alan in Chantan says, we will not bow to blackmail because we need investments. We have invested too much respect in ourselves to succumb to that, you say. And then Gaddafi in Yulo Krobo says, Ghana is a sovereign state and no Western power can prevent the passage of the anti-LGBT bill. The U.S. ambassador got the nerves because the sitting president is not bold enough to reject the Western pressure, but Ghanaians should support the legislature in the prayers to pass the bill. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, an MP for Bosa North, James Agaga, says that the minority in Parliament will resist any attempt to commit Ghanaian soldiers to Niger as part of the ECOWAS standby force. ECOWAS leaders yesterday activated a standby force for a possible military intervention in Niger, where the junta has toppled the government of President Mohamed Bazoum. But James Agaga says the minority will not allow such an action to be taken. He's on the line to help us appreciate really the origin of this position. Hello, good evening, sir. James Agaga, Member of Parliament for Bosa South. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. He's a minority spokesperson on Defense and Interior. And this is a collective decision by the ECOWAS body. I'm sure after the decision has been taken, if troops will have to be committed, the right thing will have to be done. So are we not jumping the gun by resisting it even before anything is tabled before Parliament?
Yes, good evening to your listeners. By the way, I'm the MP for Bosa North. My brother Clement.
Apologies, it's always confusing. Yes.
Well, first of all, in response to your question, the ECOWAS has already taken its decision. The authority of heads of state and government have actually met and, at first instance, invoked the, if you like, collective security mechanism, which was actually provided for in a revised ECOWAS protocol, which allows them to intervene in member states where democratically elected governments have been overthrown. They did that without making a room or provision for the exhaustion of diplomatic efforts aimed at ending the impasse. I mean, in Niger, I thought that was most regrettable and unfortunate. You know, you use force as a last resort, but ECOWAS purported to use force, I mean, at first instance, and that is what has created a lot of confusion, I mean, in the sub-region. Then they followed up. The chiefs of defense staff of the various member states were ordered to meet and begin to plan towards a possible deployment of our troops. After the chiefs of defense staff, I mean, had met and agreed on a roadmap, the Nigerian president found it necessary to bring up the matter before his country's Senate. There was heated debate, and at the end of the day, the Senate roundly rejected any use of force in Niger.
But Honorable, you know that in the Nigerian system, he did so maybe out of courtesy, but he was not really required by law to do so.
Why do you say he did that out of courtesy? Why? You want to mobilize your country's armed force? You want to commit troops? And it is inevitable that when you commit troops to war, lives would be lost, right? You're going to spend your country's resources financing a war in another country, and you think that you can do that without recourse to the representatives of the people that we lead? I mean, that statement is neither here nor there. Even in the United States, check. The president cannot declare war without recourse to Congress. So those are the best practices. And so all we are saying is that in the Ghanaian case, so far our president has not accorded the respect that Parliament ought to be accorded in this matter. He needs to come before Parliament and justify why Ghana must commit troops to Niger. Has that happened yet? You want to commit Ghanaian lives to go and fight in Niger? You would spend Ghanaian resources, money, to finance a war in Niger at a time when we are having serious economic challenges, at a time when the Bank of Ghana is on the verge of collapse. You think you don't need the people's approval or consent? So please, this is a very serious matter. We must not play with these things. They know that they have to come to Parliament. Why are they unwilling to come to Parliament?
Why do you think they are unwilling to come to Parliament? Why do you think they are unwilling to come to Parliament if they really know this?
They have gauged the public mood and are very certain that if they bring up this matter before Parliament will shoot it down, like the Senate of Nigeria did. That is why they are not ready to come before Parliament. You see, when ECOWAS decided to intervene in the Gambia, all right, Ghana committed troops. And when we committed about 250 troops to the Gambia, the minister, after so many calls have been made, he was prompted. I'm talking about the Minister for Defense, that his actions were unconstitutional because he didn't come before our Parliament to seek approval. He subsequently came. And when he came, we were very clear, we made it very clear in the debate that henceforth, Ghana's troops must never be committed to go to another country and engage in, interventions to either reinstate governments or remove governments without recourse to Parliament. Without recourse to Parliament.
But the decision, the decision really was just firmed up yesterday, Honorable. The decision was just firmed up yesterday.
No, it wasn't firmed up yesterday.
No, it was yesterday they firmed it up. The earlier one was a threat by Tinubu.
No, it was not a threat by Tinubu. Tinubu cannot act unilaterally. Tinubu, as chairman of ECOWAS, convened a meeting of the authority of heads of state and government, and they met in Abuja threatened to use force. There was a resolution to that effect before they then ordered the chiefs of defense staff to meet and then come out with a roadmap.
But is it not in the normal? Is it not in the normal course of things that you restore the democratic order, or we force you to do so? And in staying true to our pronouncement, we are getting the standby force ready by getting the chiefs of staff to begin work. And so the fact that they've signaled military intervention doesn't necessarily mean that military intervention is the first option. And so maybe just a matter of time, President will come to Parliament and seek Parliament's approval or consent or get a resolution from Parliament.
You don't threaten. They have already resolved to deploy armies. So the question to ask is, when you do that, are you not putting the cat before the donkey? What happens if you come to Parliament and Parliament says, don't move? You cannot deploy our army. What happens? So you would have deceived ECOWAS, not so? And so you see, you don't engage in actions that would send a certain signal that you don't even believe in the rule of law, right? You don't believe in good governance, right? And so because you don't believe in good governance, Parliament doesn't matter. You don't want to subject yourself to scrutiny because they must come to Parliament and justify why, at this point in time, Ghana should commit troops to Niger. We commit precious Ghanaian lives to go to Niger and fight at a time when ECOWAS itself hasn't been very consistent in the way and manner they have applied their protocols over the period. Come to think of it, why are they selectively applying, their protocols on, which says when there are violent overthrow of democratically elected governments, ECOWAS can intervene. But at the same time, that same protocol talks about ECOWAS interventions, possible interventions when there are, massive human rights abuses and violations and disrespect for the rule of law. And so you see that, look, in Guinea, when Alpha Condé was misbehaving, he amended the constitution to contest for a third term, and the citizens decided to demonstrate. Several of them were killed, they were tear gassed, and so on. ECOWAS kept quiet. When the rights of the Guineans were being violated, right? So you see, we have to be serious. If you decide to selectively apply your protocols, you see, you wouldn't have the support of the people. The ECOWAS actions must be preventive. Hello?
I'm with you.
Yes, the ECOWAS, actions must be preventive. So where, for instance, there is bad governance, there's the massive abuse of human rights, there's total disregard for the rule of law, and that is the time ECOWAS should usually, intervene. But if you don't intervene, you sit back and allow the people to express their discontent, their grievances, and the expression of their grievances crystallize into military coups. And then ECOWAS springs onto its feet and decides to intervene at that point. People would legitimately question ECOWAS, you see, and that is what we're doing now. I don't support coups, but the posturing of ECOWAS is totally unacceptable. And that is why we are saying that let them bring the matter before Parliament. We would raise all these issues. We would debate. And at the end of the day, the will of our people would be expressed through Parliament on the question of whether or not we should deploy our gallant soldiers to fight in Niger. That's the point we're making.
Very well. Thank you so much, the Honorable Agalga, James Agalga, Ranking Member, Interior and Defense Committee of Parliament, a Member of Parliament for Bosa North, speaking to us on this matter. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll take a short break. We'll return and deal with other matters. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner from HIV, STIs, and unplanned pregnancy. Condoms are an effective way for protection against HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's Rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy.
Can't touch this.
Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that. Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Yeah, Charlie, so many vibes and I bontin father, my sanaba. My mini papa and you're not for more fear more acquaintum. Trebiania so a maniscaco fear and fancy that near fear for a bit for Javasi no parking. A bear man Sujai Casa. Thanks to Sukasa, how hard to Netra. Sukasa see a damn brony friend affordable luxury homes, or more 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, where you're fully gated or grants and communities, or more malls, clubhouse, and all social amenities, plus 24-hour security. Almost our flexible payments, and yeah, I know my dear at Dow Casa. Plus 100% guaranteed cashback. Yes, 100% guaranteed cashback. No quick unanswered stories. Contact Sukasa right now through phone calls or WhatsApp on 030-296-0865 and 055-369-7886. Charlie social media so more, baby. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Sukasa GH. Email Susie at info@sukasa.com.gh. Sukasa, building on trust.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. Now, the Ghana Cocoa Board has announced that it will discontinue the construction of cocoa roads across the country after the ongoing projects are completed. The Cocoa Road program, initiated by Cocoa Board, was designed to address transportation challenges faced in delivering agro inputs to cocoa farmers and transporting cocoa beans to takeover centers. Speaking at the 50th anniversary celebration in Accra, Cocoa Board's Chief Executive Officer, Joseph Wine Edu, revealed that the decision to stop the Cocoa Road construction is as a result of negotiations with the International Monetary Fund.
Last year, the EU sent a team, what they call due diligence team on sustainability production. When they came, they wanted to know why Cocoa Board was involved in cocoa roads construction. Cocoa roads construction is not the core business of Cocoa Board, and they were insisting that we take that venture out of our equation. Of course, the IMF is also saying the same thing. The current situation with IMF is that they said, yes, now we can continue and complete what we have started, but we should not start any more new cocoa roads construction.
The Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board also announced plans to establish health centers across a number of cocoa growing communities in the country.
You go and find pregnant women who are being transported on motorbikes to reach health centers simply because the road network is so bad. I've also had the experience. A woman who was in labor and could not deliver had to be carried in a hammock and transported to the nearest health post at Akweyala, 28 kilometers away. She never survived. So when you hear these stories and then you come and sit in the comfort of your office in Accra, you are going to the office on an asphalted road, and then you look to the countryside to see how our cocoa farmers struggle to access health delivery. Unless maybe you do not have that human touch, you definitely will be touched to do something about this. And that's why it's so imperative that as an institution, Ghana Cocoa Board, it is important that we bring health services, that's facilities, as closer as possible to these families. So all these ideas are on the drawing board.
Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Joseph Wahim Edu. Away from that, 3 groups within the Esutufi North District of the Ahafo region in Ghana have expressed their dissatisfaction with the suspension of the construction of the Kenyasi to Hwidiam Road. These groups are the Ahafo Kenyasi Development Association, the Kenyasi No. 1 Youth Group, and the Kenyasi No. 2 Youth Group. Their concerns arise from the contractor, Kofi Job Company Limited, not fulfilling its obligations despite receiving the full amount of 90 million cedis required for the road project.
Part of the road is fixed, but from Kenyasi to Hwidiam, after the distance, Kenyasi Police Training School upwards to Hwidiam, the road, they have only just put some soil there, and that's all. For over 6 months now, we haven't seen any sign of his coming. Our next step is that we want to meet the minister. The minister spoke to us that they were going to meet the security minister and the road minister to speak to Kofi Job to persuade him to come. But we cannot sit. We have started planning, and indeed other associations are teaming up. And it has always been, sometimes, let me say, that it's government's ploy, or if I should say, that anytime there's an attempt for demonstration, because of previous incidents about Kenya's demonstration, government use all means to stop us from embarking on demonstration. Sometimes you go to the place, you have to write at least 5 working days before the date. And they will accept wholeheartedly that, oh, that's okay, it's your right, let's help you. But on the day or a day before, they only tell, oh, sorry, our men were not ready, we don't have enough men to take care of you, we cannot do that.
You heard one of the leaders for the youth groups in Esutufi North District, Abdul Karim Yeboah.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, there's been quite some increased conversation around the choice of running mate for former President John Mahama as flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress. He was voted flag bearer of his party sometime last year. Until date, there's been no real discussion on who partners him as running mate. And so a number of names have begun coming up, as is always expected. The name of Sam Jonah came up sometime, recently, and he said he has no interest in his Zaneto's name has come up. Jane Opoku-Nana Ajiman, who partnered him in the 2020 election, is also coming up. People think she should be retained. Others think that, no, she should be replaced. Former Chief of Staff's name, Julius Debra, has also come up. He has dissociated himself from groupings within the party, angling for him. Sylvester Mensah's name has also come up in some quarters. Dr. Valerie Sawyer's name has also come up in some quarters. A number of people, of course, well-qualified persons in the NDC's names have come up for this particular position. But what happens really to Professor Nana Opoku-Agyemang? In the case of the MPP, we saw President Nana Akufo-Addo sticking with his choice of running mate right from 2008 to 2016 when they won it, and then 2020, and then now Dr. Bawumia is one of the persons seeking to lead the party itself as the flag bearer. What's the position or the situation with the NDC? The NDC has not made any official pronouncement on this. Neither has John Mahama himself spoken about this. But what really should we be looking out for? We've called out Professor Bransford Jampo, who is a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, for a short conversation on this. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Is that really a good time for the choice or selection of a running mate?
Hi, good evening. It depends on what a party is looking out for. They have their own calendar of activities, and they have what they want to do ahead of them. And so it is up to the party to decide whether it is the right time or it is not the right time. I think in their own time, they will be able to have that kind of conversation. And if it's already commenced and they feel it is the right time, I mean, we can only leave it up to them.
I see. Of course, the choice of the running mate from the NDC's constitution is a prerogative of the candidate, of the flag bearer himself, and he has to do so in consultation with members of the party. He chooses the candidate or the person and then presents or discusses it with the executive council of the party. So that is his job. But of course, we are interested in who becomes that person, because that person potentially could be a vice president. You know, we've seen Professor Jenana Ajiman in the election before 2020. We saw the sitting vice president, the late Emis Atta, as his running mate, then as vice president, both from the central region. Is it a case that we necessarily want to have somebody from the central region partner John Mahama in the election? And what, in your thinking, is what accounts for the interest of the NDC always wanting to choose a running mate from the central region?
Well, generally, the central region has been an area that swings votes and that decides on key issues of elections. And so I'm not surprised that oftentimes people would want to balance the ticket of the presidential candidate by looking up to my region, a region that you cannot predict whose voting pattern you cannot predict with certainty, a region that oftentimes can be touted as a swing region, and a region that the voting pattern there can't always be described as very rational. And they are over the history of the Fourth Republic, they have demonstrated that they would always be the deciders of who becomes or who wins an election. And so it is not out of the norm for the NDC to always want to reach out to somebody or pick out a candidate from that region. I think it's not out of the norm.
Now, let's look at Professor Jenana Ajiman's contribution to the NDC votes in total in the last election. In the election before, in the 2016 election, the MPP got 53.22% of the vote from the central region against NDC's 43.43%. In the 2020 election, NDC appreciated a bit to 45.87%, whilst the MPP depreciated in votes to 52.71%. When you are looking at either retaining or replacing a candidate for the slot of a vice presidential candidate, is it not the numbers you look at and see what benefits the person brings to the ticket in terms of the numbers? So these figures have thrown out, even though the NDC is marginally increased. Will you say that these figures justify why a person like Professor Jenana Ajiman should be retained on the ticket of the NDC?
Well, you see, high retention or no retention is contingent on so many factors. And if you would allow me, I'll just do a simple balance sheet on her.
Very well.
And Ghanaians and the appointing authorities will take a decision as to whether they want her to be retained. Do you want the positives first or the negatives first?
Let's do the positives.
Well, in terms of the positives, Professor Jenana Ajiman, in the lead up to the 2020 elections, we saw brought the gender, ethnic, and regional balance to the ticket of President Mahama. Also, at the moment, she's somebody who is already known and has been well marketed. Again, in terms of our politicking in our part of the world, she has less political debt on her, so you cannot easily match-link her. And then she could also appeal to the academia and the middle class within the community in a manner that would help the NDC shed its outlook as being anti-academia. And then also she's less violent and very calm in terms of temperament. Again, she is a bilingual person, and I think that would help in governance and general international relations. She also has a very strong family background and family values, having successfully raised 3 kids who all have PhDs. And then her experience also in managing the University of Cape Coast as Vice Chancellor is something that is good and it's a plus for him if you know how universities are constituted, universities are simply a microcosm or a microcosmic representation of the entire country. People have their own minds, and people think the way they want to think, and it's a very critical, inquiring community. And if she's been able to successfully manage such a community, then it's a plus for her. But in terms of what works against her, one is likely to say that she herself could not appeal so much to her gender, ethnic, and regional constituencies during the last election. Yes, she couldn't really be described as somebody who appealed to women and her own ethnic and regional constituencies in the lead up to the last election. Again, she is perceived to be quite too dull and sometimes unimpressive. And also, she is somebody, generally, if people are selecting candidates, they also tend to look out for whoever will be able to replace whoever the flag bearer is. But unfortunately, it doesn't appear that she may be able to lead the party after JM's or John Mahama's exit. Also, she has no strong constituency within the NDC as a party. Maybe I would also say that she is not able to provide the political buffer for the flag bearer. In the lead up to the 2016 and 2020 elections, we saw what Bawumia was doing to augment whatever John Mahama, whatever President Akufo-Addo was doing. And then she's also served as a certain buffer for a political buffer for President Akufo-Addo or the then candidate Akufo-Addo. But it doesn't seem that to me that she's able to provide that kind of political buffer for the flag bearer, that she intends to partner. And so generally, this is a balance sheet on her. There are two sides to every coin. And so, having said this, I think the party and President Mahama himself and Ghanaians who are thinking about her political future in the NDC should be able to look at the pros and cons on her and then take a decision.
Very well. On this balance sheet you've provided, just to put you on the spot, where do you think that the scale tilts then?
Oh, please, leave it. I am not the appointing authority. So I just, my plan when I was contacted was just to do a simple balance sheet. She is a fine, affable woman. She has her strength, and she has things that work against her. And so I think that the decision will have to be made by President Mahama himself. Thankfully, we've been able to assist by pointing to her strengths and also pointing to her weakness. So let's allow him to take the decision.
Very well. But how important is the fact that you need somebody who will be able to lead after, for example, Mahama? Two schools of thought. There's a school of thought which suggests that Mahama should not determine the future of the party, given that he will need all hands on deck to fight this election, including people who potentially will want to run for the flag bearer, given that Mahama will just be will do one term extra, or just one term should he win this election. Putting somebody who is younger and somebody who obviously is ambitious there could mean that you would have determined the path of the party, and people who have ambitions of running for same office later would be at a disadvantage. I don't know what to make of that argument, whether indeed...
Well, it's a sound argument, but there are also arguments against that position. If you decide to go with President Professor Nana Akufo-Addo, then it means it's going to be a long battle that President Mahama would also want to exert much effort and would practically or virtually be fighting the battle alone. Remember that it's not a done deal. 2024 elections is not a done deal for any political party. Now things do not look good for the MPP. But between now and the time that 2024 elections will be held, things may change. And so it's not a done deal battle for anybody. And so it is important that they properly strategize. And like I said, if you want to go with Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, then it means you also have to be mindful of the fact that it means you have to be fighting most of the battles, alone. But at the same time, if you want to bring somebody, a relatively younger person, to partner you, you should know that now you would also have to undergo the challenge, overcome the challenge of trying to market the person in such a way that the person will gain acceptance. Don't also forget that then people within the same party would also be battling against that person, because the moment you pick somebody who is relatively younger as your running mate, it means you may have given the person a head start or advantage over other people who may also be eyeing the opportunity to lead a party as flag bearer. So it's a very complex and complicated decision that would have to be made after very, very, very sober introspection and analysis of things. But it is important that if the party bears President Mahama, then it is his duty to ensure that he exits the party, keeping the party's unity intact. He doesn't also have to do anything that would undermine or compromise the party's unity. And so it's a lot of things, it's a lot of work for him to do. But I want to hope and believe that after sober introspection and after doing, making a decision, thinking about evidence-based research about who is likely and who should likely partner him, he'll be able to make the right decision in a manner that will ensure that the party will be very well positioned for the 2024 elections, and then also ensure that the internal cohesion within the party would not be compromised.
People like Julius Debreh's name, names have come up. I don't know what to think about him. He appears like a grassroots person, making things work on the ground, etc. I mean, what does he bring really?
But I think I'm told he said he's not even interested.
No, he just said he dissociated himself from the groupings within the party, calling on the former president to choose him, and that you should leave him, to do his own thing and with a free hand.
Well, if he dissociated himself, then from that group, it doesn't then mean he's not interested.
Exactly.
But generally, if you also look at the way he moved from, I think he was the one who introduced the monthly sanitation cleanup.
Exactly.
Which many Ghanaians accepted, and they were implementing, and everybody was doing it until he was promoted to the rank of Chief of Staff. And as Chief of Staff, I want to believe that he also excelled in that kind of duty. And so just like the MPP, the NDC would also have a lot of people who competently or who have the pedigree to be able to partner John Mahama. But at the end of the day, he's the only one who must look at the balance sheets on everybody and make a decision. So he's also a fine gentleman, but and a fine gentleman and somebody who can easily replace President Mahama if he's not there. But like I said, if people look at it from that angle, then you should know that others may also want to fight against that choice. Because
Zaneto is a young lady as well who has some prospects. I mean, former President Rawlings's daughter and all the things that he brings.
Rawlings's daughter, I think, is also a choice that, if they want to go that route, would mean an honor to the memory of the founder of the party. I am wondering, however, whether she's been able to gain the needed experience as a member of parliament. I don't know whether she's that politically savvy to be able to ascend that particular throne. Maybe with a little more parliamentary experience and a little more things that she may want to do beyond her role as a member of parliament may well prepare her to be able to come to the forefront of the party in terms of leadership.
Very well. Thank you so much, Professor Ransford Jampo, Professor of Political Science at the University of Ghana. Thanks so much for speaking to us on this matter. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Messages that you have sent to us. This one from Daniel Akpaliok in Sandema says the coup happening within the African countries are largely attributed to poor governance and massive abuse of the rights of citizens, culminating in the lack of trust for democratic governance. It is only right for ECOWAS to seek more diplomatic means to address the happenings in Niger rather than engaging in the use of military force. Alan Chantan says the cavalier attitude of the ECOWAS heads of states will not help. Was the ECOWAS parliament consulted? Shouldn't Ghanaian MPs have a say over the Niger issue? Felix Dankwa from Tukurano says, looking at the current ECOWAS leaders who are not democratic themselves, I don't encourage our military to heed their selfish interests. Chris from Ashalibuchi says, Salam, the Bible says man shall not live by bread alone. So if the Americans wouldn't invest in Ghana because we have refused to accept the wrong as the right, then we are ready to die as righteous folks than rich sinners. Interesting. Gasti man in Brekum says, what the ambassador said is an insult to our sovereignty as Ghanaians. Is she saying we must sacrifice our cultural values and dignity for American investors? Why are they still investing in the Arab countries? Well, up next is Citi Business News after this break.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
When shopping for a dress, you say,
of course, a low burst line, a little tight by the hips, covered sleeves, off shoulder, definitely.
But when buying anti-malarial drug, you say,
is it not malaria? Give me whatever is available.
Choose your malaria drugs the same way you choose your dress. Always ask for Coartem. It's also available in cherry-flavored dispersible tablets for children. Don't gamble with malaria. Choose right. Choose Coartem. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. Malaria testing should be done before treatment. This advert is FDA approved.
Whether I'm passing by the food market, visiting the salon, or filling up my tank for a spontaneous adventure with old friends in a new city. When asked, cash or card, it's always card for me. I switched from cash to card for all my payments with MasterCard. Now I get to do what I enjoy with ease.
Switch from cash to card for all your payments with MasterCard. MasterCard, the secure and convenient way to pay.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. My name is Akosi Ocho. Let's settle for the details. The Locked Up Investments Holders Forum is reiterating its demands for the Bank of Ghana to provide liquidity support to licensed finance houses that are struggling to meet the interest and principal payment demands of their customers. The group highlights that finance companies like NDK Financial Services, SIC Financial Services, and the Bond Savers and Loans have been unable to fulfill their payment obligations. While the Bank of Ghana has initiated discussions with customers affected by the situation, the forum is urging for faster action to address the liquidity challenges. Dr. Eduanani Entry is convener for the forum.
We told the bank our main point of the petition, which is to grant liquidity support to these savings and loans and finance houses that are struggling to meet investors' funds demands. They should grant them that support for them to be able to meet our demands. We can't allow our monies to be locked up for this, or in most cases, more than 3 years. So either they give them the liquidity support, or if they think that they don't deserve the liquidity support, then they should close these institutions down and take upon the liabilities and settle, as the Bank of Ghana did in 2017, 2018, where similar institutions are same or face the same challenges, and they step in. And we had even advised that they must be talking to the ministry and the development partners to allow some funds to be used from the Financial Stability fund that is being established to pay for all these local funds so that we can have stability in the whole financial market.
That was convener for the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum, Dr. Edu Anani Entry. Now, Ghanaian public and private businesses are being encouraged to register with the Ghana Electronic Procurement System in order to ensure effective transactional standards. According to the Procurement Authority, business entities who fail to register with the electronic system may encounter some challenges conducting government business. Here's Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Procurement Authority, Kwame Prempeh.
Businesses, that do business with government. So this is the matter of those that participate in public procurement. At this moment, we are practicing manual public procurement, right? But the country is moving from manual to electronic procurement. So in that case, all suppliers, consultants, and consultants who offer their services and their goods to government must be on the system to be able to continue to provide this service to government. Because if you are not on the system and the entity is not allowed to do manual procurement, then you cannot respond. So that is why it is key for all entities or all suppliers that work with government to register with PPA first and foremost, and then we ensure that you will be on the system, you will get your user credentials to be able to log in.
Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Kwame Prempeh. Now, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, is courting the support of the informal sector to join the scheme to secure their future. The trust says although it has recorded organic growth in contributors, there is a need to continue extending social security to informal and self-employed workers to sustain the gains chalked over the years. This, according to the Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkwang, will address gaps in social protection for such individuals after retirement.
I think over the past 3 years, the education about what SNIT is, the clarification of misconceptions about what we do and what we don't has gone down well, and now it's gotten to the time where we need to actually go out and canvass and get more people to join, trying to let the employers know that they also have an interest in making sure that their relatives, their friends who are not working in the formal sector, but engaged in gainful employment in the informal sector, be they self-employed persons. Those people also have the opportunity to join SNIT and ensure their income so that when they retire, they would have a lifestyle that is also similar to those people who had the privilege of working in an office.
Dr. John Ofori-Tinkwang is the Director General of Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT. Now, one of the leading commercial banks in Ghana, Ecobank Ghana PLC, is encouraging young adults to cultivate the habit of savings in order to secure a financially sound future. Speaking at the opening of an Ecobank Ghana PLC conference for young adults in Accra, Executive Director of Consumer Banking for Anglophone West Africa at Ecobank, Edward Nati Buchi, assured both parents and young adults of innovative savings packages that resonate with the aspirations of kids and young adults.
We've had the junior saver account for several years now, but this is the first time that we are having a congress for the kids. It's been exciting. I see that they are having lots of fun and they are learning good things also. The idea for us is to take the kids who bank with us and to try and teach them some of the key things that they really ought to know. There are lessons on coding, there are lessons on how to save your money, there are lessons on how to plan your life, there are lessons on various key aspects. And we think that these are things that would really help them in life. In terms of returns that they will receive, there are lots of them. One, the interest rates that we pay out on this account, but even beyond the interest rates that we pay out, I think the whole culture of getting kids to learn how to save, the ideas and thoughts that we share with them, the benefits go beyond interest rates. It goes way beyond having an account. It covers lessons that we do share with them also. You obviously earn some money. Beyond earning money, the ability to be able to save and to invest and to plan with the funds that you earned, it's a key thing that most kids should have.
Executive Director of Consumer Banking for Anglophone West Africa at EcoBank, Edward Nati Buchi. Well, that's it for City Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by citybusinessnews.com. My name is Akosia Otri. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you. Can't feel better energy.
Can't touch this.
Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that. Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched. Sancho Panza.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz?
No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer.
Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency.
Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Mr. Mane, sorry. Chairman Mane. Chairman. Hey, Chairman!
Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
City 97.3. Accra.
Welcome back to the Point Blank segment on Eyewitness News. Tonight on Point Blank, we engage a national youth organizer of the ruling party in the person of Salam Mustafa. Since its election in July 2022, what has he been up to? What feedback is he getting from the youth of the country or the youth of his party? How is he preparing for the next election? Will the youth come out and vote for them as they did in 2016? Or the story will be different? Is the man marshalling the energies of the young people of his party? Is my guest. Salam, welcome to Point Blank.
Thank you.
You have a very difficult job, national youth organizer of a ruling party, a party facing quite a lot of difficulties. How have you been managing?
Thank you so much. And let me say a very good evening to all your listeners, especially the youth listening to us now, my constituency youth organizers, my TESCON fraternity, my regional youth organizers, the entire party. I greet everybody. I first of all want to say I thank God for how far He's brought us, 1 year in office and counting. So far, so good. I remain eternally grateful to the MPP delegates for having faith in me and voting for me on that fateful day, 16th of July, 2022 at the Accra Sports Stadium. They had trust in me that I'll be able to lead the youth of the party, especially the youth wing, to deliver yet another resounding victory for the party. And since then, that's what we have been working on.
So you think you've delivered so far on the trust and confidence they reposed in you? Have you lived up to that expectation, you think?
From the feedbacks I get, so far, I don't have a sense of disappointment, even though I also get feedbacks that point that there's still so much to be done. They still want me to do so much. And I say all the time, it is what keeps me on my toe. I lead one of the most vibrant, energetic, intelligent, smart, young following in the country. They would put your toe to the fire. So leading a youth wing like the NPP is a whole lot of work because of the caliber of people you are leading. The level of energy, you have to match it. The level of intellect, you have to match it. To lead such a pack, it's not a joke, but by the grace of God, the feedback I get, the collaboration, the support I get leaves me with the impression that we are in good stead. And if we continue so, all we need to do, and I've said this consistently and continuously, is to reawaken the passion, the drive, the commitment in our young people, in our youth again. And Selom, trust me or not, the NPP has enough numbers if we are going to marshal our membership alone to win the next election. That we have. And it is my prized aim that we are able to do so.
That really is where the job is. But you think, I mean, it's been a year since you took over. And you took over in July, just when the country began or was about to experience very harsh economic situations.
That's true.
And so 1 year afterwards, is it as you've expected? I mean, trying to encourage the young people, trying to get them to do what you want them to do by way of galvanizing them to stay the course of the party, etc. Given the difficulties that have come generally in the economy and how despondent some of the young people have become, has it been as you expected? Of course, you've been deputy youth organizer,
yes,
but sitting in the seat of organizer itself, national youth organizer itself, is quite different. Has it been as you expected, given the difficulties and everything?
I think so. You have gone into the bile of the matter. When I was campaigning, I did admit that it was going to be a very difficult job. I've been deputy national youth organizer before. In 2016, I was part of the entire mobilization system, strategy to win, that election, which we did. I knew the frustrations and the difficulties at the time. And so I kept saying to my kitchen cabinet, even the delegates, that it's a difficult job. We needed somebody with requisite experience to lead us at this material moment. So it is something that I knew. But of course, after the time we were campaigning, we didn't know that, we were going to run into a very serious crisis months later, and we did. We don't run away from it. As a party, we have admitted to the current crisis that we are facing, albeit we are gradually coming out. The youth are the hard hit. Government itself has admitted to the people that indeed there's crisis. And if you follow global trends, Selom, you know this more than me. You are more abreast with time. Sometimes I am in the bush working. You follow trends around the world. You know that the current world economy is in turmoil. And once we are an intricate part of the world system, once it sneezes, we'll catch the cold. We have, and by the grace of God, I keep saying, we have made, I think, one of the fastest recovery amongst the Committee of Nations, even though we are not out of the woods yet. But the signs are showing that we are gradually coming out of it. And I have absolute trust and confidence.
I'm not sure about the signs, because inflation has been inching up. Inflation now stands around in excess of 43. You took it from 16% or so. Sometime last year, it's peaked at 54. We are at 43. That's surely not a good sign.
It went to 54. Yeah. It came down.
Yes, and we are going up again. So we've not turned the corner. We are not turning the corner.
No.
Debt to GDP ratio, you took it from about 56% in 2016. Just before the IMF deal went through, we are around 105%. I'm not sure where we are now, but that is quite huge, given the promises you made to the people. So I'm not sure whether the signs really are telling that we are turning the corner, as the finance minister would say, or we've turned the corner, or the signs are looking good. These are very ominous times. When you even look at the the cost of living today. I mean, the young people are struggling. They don't have jobs. I mean,
there's no doubt about it.
It's difficult. So
there's no doubt.
I wonder how you say that the signs are showing that we are recovering. Are we recovering really?
We are recovering. I speak for young people. I live for young people. I will die for young people. I will not put the interest of my party ahead of the state of young people. I'm a young man myself.
Really?
You understand? Yes. I'm under 40. So I live in the time, and I want to see my contemporaries all, live in their country of birth and succeed. So I will not say what is not there. Of course, Salon, we have never seen where petroleum products prices skyrocket and begins to come down. Exchange rate volatilities, prices go up to around 16% and begin to come down.
But it happened under your watch.
Yes.
It happened under your watch.
And we have brought it down.
No, to
of
what?
Course.
You took it from 4, and then it's somewhere else.
Macroeconomic indices don't stay at constant.
But they must stay within
if you follow World Bank,
an allowable spectrum.
Yes, that's why I said we need to keep working at it to bring it down and have it under total control. I didn't say we are totally out of the woods. No, I didn't say that. We are in the crisis. We have to work our way out of it. And it's not going to take just a year or so. Look, the entire world economy is struggling. It's not just us. If you follow trends in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Germany, EU, you would see that the entire picture is clear that even these huge, industrialized countries, first world, whatever accolades we want to give them, they are struggling as much as we are. IMF, World Bank, all of them, have come out with data showing that world inflation has gone up.
But not to the degree ours is running at.
I'm sure you understand these things. The way our economy is built up, our sustainability would be a bit different. How
so a lot of the young people,
how our economy will respond to some of the shocks will
be different because we have not done better. We have not done well in terms of building the fundamentals. The fundamentals,
not really.
You promised to build.
Yes.
We've not really built the fundamentals. So the least shock, we are in trouble.
The first 3 years, this country was amongst in fact, Bloomberg, World Bank, data available show
that even that claim is challenged.
The highest, growing economy in the world.
That claim is challenged because people think
it's not challenged.
No, I mean people think that economy was an IMF economy, and IMF left in 2019. IMF left in that's factual. Yes. IMF left in 2019. Then just around the time they left, we began seeing
IMF doesn't manage this economy for us.
No, but IMF has a cane behind
economic management team.
You want to go to the economic management team? The IMF as we speak has a cane behind us. They are telling us to cut down our debt. The DDEP we went into is because of the IMF and a lot of that. So the thinking is that when IMF is around, there's a certain discipline that they force on you, and that helps you to stay in check. So when that discipline was lost or left in 2019, we went, on a frolic of our own, and then we are where we are, and we always talk about COVID or RE war, and things, spiraled out of control, and now here we are. So
it is okay to make this argument. It's okay to make this argument. I've heard it time without number.
But that's the truth.
It is okay. Well, truth is relative.
Really?
Because I've also heard the NDC try to put the same argument across. But I don't expect NDC to give us any credit that this government has done
it's
well.
It's not an NDC argument. It's a factual argument, is it not? It's not an NDC argument.
I'm saying, you say it's factual, and I'm saying that it is relative. Because it presupposes that, we haven't done anything to manage the economy.
No, you might have done, but it may not be
the successes that we saw. But it is taking policies by government to drive the economy in a certain direction. That we can't take away from government. And I'm saying that, yes, when the good times were there, it was okay. If the bad times have come, we shouldn't say that, you have intentionally created a situation where the people in this country are suffering, especially young people. I agree. The heaviest bite is on young people because if you look at rent, food,
young people are suffering.
It's young people who, feel the brunt of it. And that's why I keep saying that I have trust in the managers of the economy to get this thing under control. Look, significant, 2019, we didn't know that COVID was going to hit all of us, the entire world economy went down. And Salom, rebound, coming back to, normalcy, is a huge challenge, and every country is experiencing its difficulties. And that's why I brought in even the industrialized countries who are finding it difficult. Are we going to say that America, who are also experiencing significant inflation, is out of reckless management of the economy? I don't think so. I don't think they would agree.
There are degrees. There are degrees. I mean, everybody took a
no
hit.
Economy in this world is homogeneous.
Yes, every economy took a hit.
Homogeneous system in the world.
That's fine. Every economy took a hit.
We are more import-led economy.
Yes, but that you promised to change in 18 months. That you promised to change in 18 months. You promised to change the Gordonsburg economy into an industrialized economy.
Which we are doing. If you look at the level of digitalization, a lot of the things that we have done with the system, paperless port, trying to create the enabling systems that will ensure that we become a new economy that we are on course to delivering. It won't take just a day. You have to formalize the economy. And that's why we have done the national ID system, because without it you cannot formalize your economy. And some of these things we shouldn't take it for granted. We shouldn't take it for a joke. Until we are able to formalize the economy, we cannot get the new world economy that we are looking for. The likes of the Asian tigers who were able to achieve economic progress and prosperity didn't do so out of the vacuum.
But this is the point of view. This is point blank on Eyewitness News. My guest is Salam Mustafa, who is the MPP National Youth Organizer. He's a youth president of the ruling party. Very huge job he has. He's been going around the country trying to mobilize his youth ahead of the next election. And we are just having a conversation with him on what he's been seeing around and generally putting the issues of the young people to him. And so Salam, the young people you say you will die for and stand and do anything for, a lot of them are leaving the country. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association says about 500 nurses, left the country every month sometime last year, and 4,000 of them have since left, and which means that every month, average about 500 of our trained nurses leave the country for greener pastures. A lot of these people are young people. They are leaving because they are feeling the pinch of the economy. They can't seem to put body and soul together. Youth leader, what is your response to this?
Well, I have come across, same. And there are pull factors. If you have followed, and I'm sure you have, Brexit has occasioned some, difficulties in England. And now the English people are looking for trained health, officials all around the world. So it is not from Ghana alone that they are really drawing from. They have found a way to entice the health, workers to come to UK to work because of the Brexit, a lot of, people within the EU left, and now they have a huge hole to deal with. So it has become a very lucrative environment, and home care, and for the aged and co. It has become the point of attraction now that a lot of people are going to, and that's why we see a lot of nurses.
Even the policies, very well. Even the policies that you have introduced for young people. So nurses are leaving because they say they don't have a lot of. I mean, they don't get a lot of money. They don't get paid well, etc. But I mean, the ones we have created, the NAPCOs of this world, etc. I mean, 100,000 youth. We launched it in big style. A lot of fanfare. But a lot of I don't want to say graduates, but a lot of the beneficiaries of that program still live today, and they are owed a lot of arrears. What is the plan to get government to pay these people? Because they might have worked,
before I come
but they've not been paid.
To
and
that,
they are young people.
Before I come to that, if you take the health sector, for instance, under this government, there's no government that has invested so much in the health sector like this government under Nana Addo Dankwa.
In terms of what? Investment in terms of what?
Infrastructure and even employment.
Infrastructure? Agenda 111?
Yes.
Of that? But it's at its beginning stages.
Have you gone around to check? I have been traveling around.
I know. We don't even know if they'll be completed, right?
The other Tepa hospital was left to rot. Today, go to Tepa. The hospital is fully functional.
But of course, the other side, the other side will point to UGMC, Ridge Hospital.
They left it. We came and completed and made it functional.
What? No,
UGMC.
Because at the time they were leaving,
but they didn't finish.
No, but they had almost finished.
We didn't abandon it.
Really?
Yes.
Because we here at Citi FM
finished it,
launched a campaign and made it to finish the abandoned project.
And made it functional.
Ridge Hospital, Bank of Ghana Hospital.
There is a beautiful hospital there that was championed by the sitting MP, Honorable Alex Tete. Built under him, commissioned, and today it's functional. So look, in terms of employment, at a go, we came and cleared the backlog of nurses who were left to sit at home under the NDC regime. 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, they were home 5 years. It was this government that came and cleared them and gave them employment. So in the health sector alone, we have employed over 100,000 people.
But they are leaving. The 100,000 we've employed, a lot of them are leaving.
But you see, it is good that over the period we have been able to employ people who have come into the system, gained experience.
And they gained experience and
I'm
leave,
sure
some of them
will come back. After some time, they will come back. And we should keep investing. We should keep investing. So that's the story of this
Let's
government.
go to NAPCO.
NAPCO. I'm one of the proponents of NAPCO. I supported the idea with my whole being, and I still do, because I say that an idle hands, it's a very dangerous hand.
You get trouble.
Because, yes, the devil will find work for that person. So if we could sustain it. And the only reason why NAPCO took a hit is because of COVID. Because when COVID came, a lot of resources were spent to ensure that we were safe and all that. So if at some point in time we are able to marshal enough resources, I still stand by it that we should bring it back. If we are able to get 100,000 graduates.
A lot of them are old arrears. They're just walking about every now and then. They call press conferences. They cry
it is
to
true.
Are we not going to pay them?
I have engaged leadership at different levels on NAPCO. Initially, the terminal point was in 2021. So they can tell you that technically there was a terminal point. But of course, they are human beings, and we have to find a way to manage them. And I've kept talking to leadership to find a way to engage them, even though I still believe that somehow, somewhat, let's find a way of getting it back. But if it will also interest you to know, we started with 100,000, but as at the time it was going down, there were less than 50,000.
Which means they all went to get other jobs?
A lot of them were mainstreamed. The GRA had picked some of them, some went into customs, went into several, permanent employment. That's why I keep having the belief that it's a very good policy.
So one of the things that NAPCO was to do was to train people, give them some jobs, etc., give them some skills they can use. I also know that recently you've been leading some a mentorship program for young people who identify with the MPP. What's the essence of that program really? What's the relevance of that? Should it just be restricted to MPP people, or it should be for the Ghanaian youth, or because your mandate is for MPP, that's why you do it for them? What's the essence of that program really?
I am an MPP person.
But Ghanaian first or MPP first?
I am an MPP person. Okay, I am selling our tradition to the young people of this country. First and foremost, it's for everybody, all young people. Once you see our brand and you like it, even if you're in the NDC and you want to join the NPP based on our tradition, our track record, our values, our principles, our ideology, why not come? We say all the time, the youth are the future leaders. What kind of leaders are we producing? That was the first thought we had. Myself and my team sat down and said, look, if we are going to have patriots lead this party and this country, let's start investing in them now. And that's why I'm happy that the party itself is launching an ideological school that when we recruit these young people...
Just like the NDC did?
Well, yes, they also have an ideological school. When we recruit these young people, let them come and go through the party. Let's take them through the rudiments.
So you are raising politicians, is that the case?
Yes, leaders. Leadership is key. You see, leadership is cause. Everything is effect. So if we want patriots...
So the problem Ghana has right now, it's attributable to leadership. And if the problem is bad, or the situation is bad, and leadership has been bad.
I won't say that. all
the
leaders we have had in this country have played a significant role in where we are today. Salom, I don't know if you travel across the sub-region. I've gone to a few of the African countries. And you know what? When you come back to Ghana, you sigh. We have our own difficulties, we have our own challenges, but I tell you, Ghana is leaps and bounds ahead of so many of contemporaries.
It's always been, because Ghana was the first to attain independence.
Yes, so I won't say that we have had bad leaders. No.
So our peers in West Africa, they should be nowhere near our peers. We should be looking at South Korea, we should be looking at Malaysia and co. This really are the people we should be looking at if we are kept pace with it.
One thing that you should know, the numbers play a very important role in socioeconomic development. If it's anything to go by, Nigeria should be far ahead.
No, but Singapore is a small country.
No, but Singapore is bigger than Ghana.
No, Singapore is. I'm not sure about that. But
Singapore is around 50
a small
something.
country.
Yeah, it's not.
What's the name? South Korea, yes.
India, China, America itself, Pakistan.
How about Nigeria?
Nigeria. That's what I'm coming to say. That's what I'm coming to say.
So it's neither here nor there. We have some countries
only within
with
Africa
huge numbers.
The numbers are not really beginning, to reflect in the economic power. But still, when Nigeria coughs, I mean, the rest of the world listens. They do. That's why they are able to ban Twitter. And, Twitter has to, come and negotiate. You understand? Because they understand the numbers. But be as it may, what I'm saying is that...
So Singapore is a small country, just about 4.5 million people. So very small country.
What I'm saying is that our leadership has not been bad. Has not. But we should also continue to build very, very, principle-filled, ideologically inclined leaders. That in the future, when we say we are future leaders, when we get to the mantle of leadership...
So your mentorship, did it include telling the people to put Ghana first, Ghana before party?
Of course.
Because what we appear to be suffering from is a lot of people putting party before government. So are you telling them to put Ghana before party, so that when they meet a situation, they think about what the larger implication of what they do.
It's neither here nor there. It's not about Ghana first or party first. It's doing the right thing.
Yes.
It's serving your country. All of us do. You see, every democracy built on competitive elections, you would see these things, that the parties... I am the national youth leader of the NPP. I ran on the ticket of the NPP. And Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is president of Ghana on the ticket of NPP, and not as...
But do you agree that there are some decisions he may make or you may take that will benefit your party at the expense of the country? Do you agree that there are some decisions like that? And so as part of what we should be doing,
it is difficult.
We should tell the people
at
to
the
put
end
Ghana
of the day, we are also bona fide members of the Ghanaian community, society. At any material point in time, some people would agree to something and some will not agree. I'm sure there are also people in the MPP who may not agree to some policies. It is, it is there.
I'm curious to know what the young people have been telling you about Cecilia Dapa. What do they tell you when you see them?
I think that's a matter for...
I want to know what they tell you.
My own perspective.
No, what do they tell you?
Of course, I think there's this media razzmatazz against her. And I have said it time without number. We are yet to listen to her. Don't judge her until she has come out to speak for us to understand.
So that's the sentiment of the young people, that we should listen to her first and everything, which is fine.
All the facts surrounding the matter. Because I don't like to be prejudicial and judgmental. We should listen to her, let her speak, then we can make an informed judgment. But to roast her when we haven't listened to her is a bit problematic. And I think that we should all hasten slowly and let time deal with the matter. All the issues coming out, when she's wrong, we all come and say she's wrong. If she's not, then the matter also goes. But before let me just take some minutes and wrap up on the mentorship forum.
Do.
So it is that mindset that we couch out that program to reach out to young people, to mentor them. And we had some very good resource persons who came and did justice to the topics that we gave them. Leadership, Abu Jinapot did a fantastic job. Samuel Wuku came and did political communication. Louisa Atajiman was there to talk about women participation, how women, rise to leadership and so on and so forth, and how young women should believe in themselves. So many of the speakers, the national chairman was there, the national organizer. We all took time.
Well attended and organized program.
And there were over 1,000 young people, in the hall.
Wow.
And I was amazed.
Where was it held?
UPSA.
Okay, I see.
I was overjoyed that, people turned out in their numbers to come and be part. And I keep urging. I've had extensive discussions with party leadership why it is necessary for us to launch our party school in earnest to ensure that we take these young people through the rudiments, let them understand that we are building leaders. The party gives you a platform to excel, and that it is not, coming to as it were, make you rich, but to build the leadership qualities in you for you to lead this country one day.
Very well.
And once we continue to do so, we will be producing and churning out very good
leaders.
Ethical leaders for this country.
Well, so that's been our guest, Salam Mustafa, very energetic young man, MPP National Youth Organizer. He's been my guest on Point Blank tonight. Thanks so much, Salam, for coming. Wish you the best.
Salam, tomorrow is International Youth Day.
Okay.
I want to wish all the youth in this country a joyous day. Let's take some time to reflect, do some introspection, and I believe that there's prospect in this country. We cannot be all yearning to go out when Indians, Lebanese come into our country and make so much money. It means that we can also make it here.
Very well. Good point. All right. So thanks so much, Mustafa. Salam Mustafa.
I like the way you mention my name.
That's how we conclude today's edition of the program. 97.3 Citi FM show has been produced by Wilson, Nana Kobna Wilson, with assistance from Beverly London and Sami Wiafi. Social media assistance has been provided by Daniel Abugri Anyoriga. Daniel Squashi provided technical assistance. Earlier you heard Akosia Otri. My name is Selom Adunu. Make a date with me tomorrow on The Big Issue at 9 a.m. on 97.3 Citi FM as we discuss the topical issues for the week. Up next is Sports Panorama with the boys. Have a good evening.